number of years ago, my wife Julie and I we were in a meeting. It was a ministers' meeting. And in this ministers' meeting, this guy's there and he's talking about money. And he's talking about faith for money. I'm not talking about money tonight, so it's okay. Take your hand out of your pocket. I know some of you instinctively grab for your wallet at the mention of the word money. But you can relax. We're not talking about money tonight. And this guy's talking about money. And he's telling stories about how he's given. And they were incredible stories. He goes to a restaurant and he paid for the bill, and then he'd say to the waiter or the waitress, he'd say, hey, how good a service do you think you gave today? And they go, what do you mean? He said, well, on a percentage of the bill, how good was your service? Were you worth 5%? Were you worth 10%? Were you worth 25% of the bill? Were you worth 50% of the bill? And he said on one occasion, this lady looks at him, she says, sir, I was worth 100% of that bill. He said, oh, no problem. Writes her a check for the exact amount as the amount of food that he bought. Just give to her. He had a generous spirit on him. It was incredible. In the year that we met him, he gave away 5 times his salary. Because it kept coming in and he kept giving it away. So he get in and he give it away. And then one day somebody says, listen, I know you always give away the money someone gives you. So I've decided to buy you 2 suits. Then you can't give them away. So he's thinking, oh, at last, I get to keep something. So, he goes and gets these suits fitted, and then God says to him, you're going to meet 2 homeless guys on your way out of this suit shop. And on the way out of the suit shop, he gives away both the suits that the guy got him. So I'm listening to this guy, and I'm going, oh, this is amazing. This is really good. And he says, we're going to take an offering now. You could feel it coming. We're going to take an offering now, he says, and I want you to pray about what you're going to give. Oh, I'm in. This is great. This is great. God, how much do we need to give? I felt God saying to me, give £25, which for us at that point was a significant amount of money. £25. Man, okay. So I turned to Julie, I said, Julie, because we used to have these things, I'll just talk to this section a minute. We used to have these things called checkbooks. They were kind of like, well, they weren't a credit card and they weren't cash. You just sort of wrote on them and people believed you. Quick question. Everybody close your eyes. Everybody close your eyes. This is a real proper everybody close your eyes. Have you ever written a check wondering if the money might possibly be there? Just slide your hand up. That's beautiful. Thank you for your honesty. Excellent. Close your eyes. Have you ever written a check knowing the money's not there? That's fraud. All right? Let's not do that. So I turned to my wife, Julie. I said, give me the checkbook. She says, what for? Well, we're about to give an offering. What do you want to put in it? I said, babe, we're going to put in £25. She said, we've only got £25. I said, praise the Lord. She said, no. So what happened then is, in the middle of this meeting, there's maybe 150 ministers in this meeting. We're sat somewhere in the middle towards the back. We're having a row quietly behind the people in front of us. We've done that duck down thing. No, give me the check. No, give me the check. So we wrestle for the checkbook, and I win. Thank you, Chip. I write this check for £25. I'm not, honestly, not embellishing this at all. No preacher's license. I write this check, and the guy says this. This is what I want you to do. If you're a married couple, I want you to put the money or the check between your hands and walk to the front to give it. I'm less happy now. So we put the check between our hands. Julie starts to squeeze. She was squeezing so hard the Queen was crying. As that would have worked if it was money, but a check, it doesn't work the same. But you laughed, so I'll take it. So as we're walking to the front, people are queuing to give. I'm like, resisting the impulse to squeeze back as hard as I can because I'm a loving husband. We get to the front, and he says, just put your hands in my hand. So we put our 2 hands, mine going slightly blue, into his hands. And he puts his hands around ours, and he says, God will return this to you. And Julie says, no word of a lie, he'd better. True story. True story. True story. True story. True story. I'm dead tonight. Right, true story. Okay, I'm like, So anyway, then it's end of the meeting. Go and have a coffee with someone. I'm trying to find anyone to talk to. And then we've got to drive home. It's a 45-minute drive, right? It's a hot summer's day. We had a car with no air conditioning. It had a tape player. Excuse me. Tapes. Right? It had a tape player, which didn't work, and the radio didn't work. 45 minutes. I tried every conversational starter I could think of. After 3 minutes, I gave up. 42 minutes of complete silence as we traveled back to our home. How many of you know we were together, but we were not together? I mean, we were in the same car, but there was no sense of having any commonality in our lives. It was difficult. Do you want me to tell the end of the story? This is great. This puts me in a brilliant light. This is what happened at the end of the story. The next day, some friends phoned us up and said, "We were praying for you yesterday afternoon." I'm going, I know where this is going. You go on. And we really felt we should come and see you. Go on. And we'd like to give you some money. Who's got the faith now? So they did, and it was a massive amount of money. And I was just like, babe, I am the man of God. So, you ever been in a situation like that, though? Not where you've given away all your money and your wife's about to kill you. Not that kind of situation. This kind of situation where you're kind of with someone, but you're not with them at all. Like maybe, fellas, you've taken your wife shopping. You're there, but you're not there. Because she's in the change room and you're on your phone. And you're lost in a game that you've downloaded just for this occasion. Because I can lose my brain in this as much as I've lost it in the Trafford Centre somewhere. Or teachers and pupils, right? They're together all day, but they've got nothing in common all day. Teachers are trying to teach, the pupils are trying to get to the end of the day. There's no commonality that's going on. There's a lot of together that happens in church. Or you ever shared a room with someone and you think, I just don't want to be sharing a room with this person. I perfected this. Whenever we go on a trip, as a team anywhere, I generally get my own room. The reason being this, Pastor Glenn and I were in Poland, and we had a twin room, and at 3 a.m., I hear him crashing around the room. I'm going, so I wake up, I go, what are you doing? So I get my glasses. I'm like, what are you doing? He says, I can't stand it any longer. I said, what is wrong with you? He says, I can't stay in this room anymore. I said, what is wrong with you? He says, you snore. I said, I know I snore. 3 a.m., he's gone down to reception in his boxers and a T-shirt and got himself another room. And he's packing to leave me. Pastor Paul Reed once shared a room with me and slept in the bath. Absolutely true. True story. Absolutely true. Sparky's a martyr. Michelle must snore really badly, to be honest, because he can cope with it. He just keeps going. He's brilliant. Pastor Jason once left the country we were in. That's true. That's an absolutely true story. It was that bad, he didn't stay another night, and he literally left the country. We were in Wales, but it's a better story when you say he left the country. You can be together, but not together. Our verse for this evening is in Acts chapter 2. And it reads like this. He says, all the believers were together. And then he says this is a big leap from together, and had everything in common. I mean, that's a big jump. Together we all get, but everything in common. Everything's a funny word, isn't it? You ever have a conversation with someone who's upset and you say, what's wrong? And they say that fabled word, everything. Well, everything's not wrong. Gravity has not failed. There's still air to breathe. Everything is not wrong, but everything can get thrown in. In this occasion, it's an interesting passage. It comes in Acts chapter 2, and in Acts chapter 1, Jesus has made the statement to his disciples, wait in Jerusalem, and we'll come back to that in a minute. And then the disciples have waited in Jerusalem, and then they've waited until the day of Pentecost. And Pentecost is like a festival in Jerusalem. It's like going to Glastonbury, but in a city. Festival kicks off. It's exciting. And this is what the Bible's not explicit, but history tells us this. When the Jewish people traveled to a festival in Jerusalem, nobody was made to pay for their accommodation. So they would arrive in the city, and everybody who lived there would open up their spare rooms, they'd open up their floors, and every visitor would get a bed to sleep in or a space on a floor. They would get food, and they would get drink, and they would stay for the duration of the festival. Everybody got everything free. That's the way the society works. Now, on this particular Pentecost festival, we know this because the Bible tells us Peter gets up in front of the crowd in the middle of the city and he preaches the first ever sermon. It's a pretty short sermon if you read it. It's not very long when you read it through. He preached this sermon. This is what the Bible tells us. 3,000 people decided to become followers of Jesus off the first sermon. That's going to put your average up there, isn't it? Like as a preacher, you're going to be going, yeah, I'm preaching pretty well today. 3,000 people respond to the message, and then this is what happens. They don't leave. See, normally when the festival finishes, the people left. They headed back to their homes and back to their villages. But these 3,000 people had such a powerful encounter with Jesus that they thought to themselves, we can't leave the thing that we have found ourselves in. We've discovered a together. And this together is so powerful, we just want to stay. Yep, we've got businesses and homes, we've got things to go back to. But right now, we've found something so powerful, we're going to stay. And so the Bible tells us in Acts chapter 2 that the Christians kept doing what the Jews had stopped doing. So at the end of the festival, everybody went, no, you can't stay here anymore. Well, why? Well, the festival's over. You're going to have to leave now. So the Christians started going, well, come stay with me. Come and stay with me. Come stay in my house. Now, bear in mind, there was only 120 of them to start off with. Now they've got to accommodate 3,000 new people. This is getting a little sticky. You're packing them in. You know what? You've got 3 people sleeping in your ensuite. It's getting significant, this right now. And more than that, they're feeding them. And so it says this in Acts chapter 2. It says, everyone was filled with awe at the wonders and signs performed by the apostles. All the believers were together and had everything in common. You bet they did. Because they had forced themselves into a together that had produced a commonality, a sense of purpose, a sense of direction, a sense of belief, a sense of ownership, a sense of belonging that completely shaped how the church moved forward from there. Together became incredibly powerful. And that's what I want to talk about this evening, the power of our together. The word together that the Greek uses there, it means they were positioned properly. They were positioned properly. Now, we understand position in all sorts of different realms of life. In sport, if a player is out of position, they fail to accomplish what they set out to do. Sometimes a player gets played out of position, out of necessity, and you see the weakness in them because they're not used to the position that they're in. In politics and business, being in the right position at the right time is crucial. You miss an opportunity, you miss a moment. Position matters. And if you've got 3 children and the back seat of the car, who knows position matters? There's a battle to avoid the middle seat. I don't want that middle seat. It's not as wide as the outside. I want to position myself. Position happens in family as well. Sometimes position happens in church. A long time ago, I went to preach in a church, and there was a lady arguing with a man because he'd sat in her chair. Oh, it was beautiful. I just stood back and watched it. It wasn't my church. I was like, this is awesome. Position is an incredible thing that it either sets you up for success or it sets you up for failure. When you find yourself outside of where you should be and not being who you could be. Have you ever missed a moment and thought to yourself, oh, if only I could have been there for this? Position is an incredibly interesting thing. There's 2 key passages I want to bring to you. Pastor Glenn spoke about the first one a few weeks ago as he kicked off this influence series. And it says, that, Jesus says to them, wait in Jerusalem. Acts chapter 1 and verse 4. Wait in Jerusalem until you've received what I promised. What's Jesus saying? He's saying, hey, position yourself right. Position yourself to receive the promise. Don't position yourself outside. Don't position yourself on the periphery. Don't position yourself so you can see what's happening. Don't position yourself so you can hear what's happening. Position yourself so you're right in the center of the action. Acts chapter 1 and verse 4 directly leads us to Acts chapter 2 and verse 1. And this is what it says. It says, they were all together in one place. Oh, can you imagine if you'd missed that moment? Imagine if, you decided, man, I'm going to have to pop out for a bagel and a French stick. Do you think they had French sticks in Jerusalem? I've distracted myself. Imagine if you missed that moment. They positioned themselves. They were together in one place. The together in one place of the 120 becomes a key factor in the together having everything in common of the 3,120. If the 120 hadn't positioned themselves correctly, there never would have been a 3,120. How are you positioning your life? Do you sit on the outside, wait to see if it works, wait to see how it goes, and then maybe you're going to become what we call a late adopter. That seems to be going quite well. I'm going to jump in. You're the kind of person who's just decided recently, I'm going to try Facebook. It seems to have proved itself. Are you the kind of person who listens to see what other people are doing and vicariously lives off their own experience, lives off their positioning, lives off their opportunity? Or instead, do you want to be one of those people who goes, oh, no, this is me. I am England, right in the middle, at the top. Look at a globe, right in the middle, at the top. We are the United Kingdom. Position is everything in stepping into opportunity. And God puts position right the way through the Bible. Position is incredible. Ecclesiastes chapter 4, it talks about the power of two positioning themselves well. That if they position themselves well, then they can overcome. Jesus talks, he says, where two or three are gathered together, where two or three have positioned themselves well, then I am in the midst of what they are doing. They've positioned themselves well. This word together, it doesn't just mean position, it also means multiplication. Amazing. Should we do some maths? If Russell Evans had said, shall we do some maths? Some people would have stood up and raised their hand and shouted yes. I'm going to do some maths. Okay, here we go. I got a B in maths at GCSE. Vicky got an A. Vicky, jump up here. So, okay. Serves you right. It's like your dream come true. Doing maths on the church platform. That someone's even dreamed that is incredible to me. All right, here you go. Okay, you're going to need that. All right. Addition and multiplication. At first, addition looks like it's more powerful than multiplication. Vicky, 1 plus 1 on the addition side. Yeah, right out. Nice and big. Okay? Multiplication. 1 times 1 equals, don't help her. Oh, your A is flying for you now. At first, addition looks more powerful. So we think to ourselves, what can I have with me? This is a little bit like countdown right now. Is everybody else thinking that at that moment? I turned around with a stood at the side there. I thought, it's like countdown. That makes me the old guy behind the desk. Let's move on. Right. Addition at first looks like it's more powerful. It looks like if I can get something to me, that gives me more strength. But then we kind of move on. Vicky, on the other side, 2 plus 2. I know we're stretching, huh? All right. And then 2 times 2. This is an interesting moment. There's also stuff in the Bible where it talks about the power of 2. Or it talks about a connection. When you go through Ecclesiastes, how 2 can defend one another, how 2 can keep each other warm. Somebody read that on our wedding day, and I was just, I'll take that verse. At this point, there's a connect that's happening. There's something going on. But this is where addition, everything changes from this moment forward. Because when you just add into yourself, it's just a little bit more. It's just a little bit more. We'll go for the 3s, okay? You know what you're doing now? Okay. 3 plus 3. I've never seen someone so happy. So, and then the multiplication starts to kick in. 3 times 3. Okay. Let's do the 4s. See, things are starting to shift and change. If together equals multiplication, not addition. Addition just gives you a little bit more every time. At the best, absolute best, it doubles what you begin with. It doubles what you do the 5s. Go wild. It doubles what you begin with. But multiplication starts to change things exponentially. It starts to change them not a little bit, but completely. We're declaring this over the Life Audacious Church. This is a new, do the 6s. This is a new era. Church, this is a new era. We may have grown with a little bit of addition, with a few people coming along, a few people being added. I want to declare tonight, this is the era of multiplication. This is the era of substantial, significant, transforming breakthrough. There's nothing like yours. Do the 6s. Go on. Do the 7s. Do the 7s. Do the 7s. It's crazy. Because you just think to yourself, you know, even if we do addition in the next 12 months, we can be a church of 6,000. But if we start to believe what the Bible teaches, and I'm going to open it up for you right now, we don't become, are we helping her? Are you having to help her? Has she got it wrong? Lex, come on. Alexa. And give me the pen. Give Vicky a big hand. Listen, together causes multiplication. Genesis chapter 1, verse 28. First thing that God speaks to his people, be fruitful and multiply. First thing he speaks to mankind, be fruitful and multiply. Not be fruitful and have an addition. Be fruitful and multiply. Genesis 22:17, the promise that's spoken over Abraham. I will surely bless you and multiply your descendants. Leviticus 26, verse 8 says this, 5 will chase 100. Vicky, come back. Vicky, where have you gone? Come back. Get your pen. This is redemption, this. She caught it. 5 will chase 100 and 100 will chase 10,000. If 5 chase 100, how many people is each person chasing? No, if 5 people chase 100 people, how many people are each of the 5 chasing? No. Yeah. So if 5, we'll do this again, pretend that happened, right? Vicky, if 5 chase 100, how many people is each person chasing? 20. Yes, write it down. But the Bible then says 100 will chase 10,000. How many people are they chasing now? Yes! Well, listen, you go from 5, you go to 100. They're chasing 20 people each. They're chasing 100 people each. With the empowerment of who God is by the power of his Holy Spirit, when he takes a hold of our lives and we work together, There's a multiplication that goes on that's way beyond just what you have individually. It's way beyond what you have and what I have coming together, and we are the sum of those two things. That will be back in addition, and God is not a God of addition. He is a God of multiplication. There are 120 people praying in an upper room, and 3,000 people come to the Lord because He is a God of multiplication. He is not a God of addition. When we start to see this, we realize it's the principle. You really are good now. Thank you very much. It's the principle of synergy. Synergy, simply put, means this. Pop it up on the screen for me. Synergy is the effect of the whole is greater than the sum of the individual parts. If there are two horses each pulling 2 tons of weight, you would think that together those 2 horses could pull 4. But the principle of synergy teaches us that the 2 horses can pull 7 tons of weight because one is inspired by the other. One pulls harder because they see another straining alongside of them. Jesus says these words to us. He says, "Come to me, all you are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest, because my yoke is easy and my burden is light." God invites you and I to pull alongside Him in the fight to establish His kingdom. He invites you and I to stand alongside Him and to achieve more than we could ever achieve by ourselves. And He calls to do it in the principle of synergy. Henry Ford made this statement talking about teamwork. He said that teamwork is the ability to work together toward a common vision, the ability to direct individual accomplishments towards organizational objectives. It is the fuel that allows common people to attain uncommon. They were together and they had everything in common. People, normal people, day-to-day people. They come to a festival and they ended up in a relationship with Jesus that they never even saw coming. And they turned to other common people and they stood together and established something that has been rolling around the globe ever since, called the church. And as the church fulfills what it's called to do, as we recognize who we're called to be, the power of our synergy kicks in. Synergy is all over the Bible. Whenever Paul says, "my fellow workers," and he says it over 30 times, he calls them his synergos. You're the ones who've walked beside me. You're the ones who've inspired me. You're the ones who've caused me to do more. You're one who's caused me to be greater. We are a people who are called to work together. Why do we ask you to serve on a Sunday? Because we're desperate? Because we think, well, you know what? It gives someone else a day off. No. Because there's a power in working together. There's a blessing in working together. There's something insignificant in standing alongside one another. On a Thursday night, my son plays in the youth band. And I have to drop him off for his practice, and then I pick him up after. And generally, I kind of go and work in the church offices, and then I come back. And every time I come back, it's about 7:30. A-teams is in full swing. And I walk in the door, and I watch our teams of people working together and just serving. They're just working and they're serving. Not last night, it felt like last night, but it was Friday night at Blink. I was on the car park. I went out on the car park with the guys, helping the ladies park their cars. I don't know why you're laughing. We parked every car. That was a minor miracle. Working with the guys, just serving together, laughing at the how we're going to fit another 5 cars. How are we going to do? There's a working together that is the synergy of who we are. There's a working together. But there's a gathering together as well. It says in Hebrews that some people have forsaken gathering together. They've stopped coming on a Sunday to church. They've stopped being a part of a life group. Literally, it means they've stopped being in synergy. They've stopped lining themselves up with where everybody else is going. They've stopped positioning themselves right to achieve everything that they're called to do and called to be. Do you know what they're literally doing? Because I'm preaching to the choir because you're here. They're literally missing the moment. This is the moment of this morning. And Pastor Sophia was incredible preaching. That literally you could feel the lift of us as a church stepping into a new era, stepping into some more. People missed the moment. Oh, I'll get on the podcast. Oh, you'll hear the words, but you won't be in the atmosphere. You won't catch the response that's your response. You may have a mental assertion to it, a mental ascension to it. You say, yeah, I agree with that, but actually you missed the moment. There's a building together that happens, and there's a worshiping together. It says that when we gather, that each of us should bring something with us. We bring our worship. We bring our praise. We bring our desire to respond to God. We should step into this room ready. Why? Because I want to add my worship to your worship. No, I don't. I want to multiply your worship with my worship. I want to multiply your praise with my praise. I don't just want to stand alongside you and sing. If I want to stand alongside someone and sing, I'm going to pick someone. I want to just give my praise. And then when you're praising, I'm hearing you praise and I'm thinking, I can praise a little bit more. Because I've been inspired. There's synergies. I'm going to push a little bit harder. And then I feel someone believing for a breakthrough. So I'm going to pray a little bit more. I'm going to push a little harder in my prayer. And I hear a prayer request. And I hear a praise report. And somebody says, come on! Band, why don't you come and join me? Church, God is calling this church into a new era. A new season. That we have to redefine who we are and what we know. We have to reshape it. The power is in our together. That we can be together. That as we gather together, something significant happens. Do you know, when we talk to local council and we say, oh yeah, we're that church. And they go, what church? That's an embarrassing moment for us. It's time to end that conversation. With that church. Sometimes they go, that building? Well, we know that building. We've wondered what that building was. But we don't start saying that church. Oh, you're the church that feeds that many homeless people. That's us. You're the church that breaks through in the red light district. Yeah, that's us. Oh, you're the church that looks after so many children. Yeah, that's us. You're the church where all the young people come to. Yeah, that's us. You're the church where the families are helped. Yeah, that's us. You're the church that's buying all those houses. Yeah, that's us. You're the church with minibuses all over town. Yeah, that's us. You're the church that's changing this city. That's us. That's who we are. That's what we're about. But it can't happen because our senior pastors work hard. It can't happen because our staff work hard. If we rely on the staff or the pastors to make church work, we've gone for professionalism. This is a relationship we are in. Not only with Lord Jesus, but with one another. Where we're pulling together. I'm going to finish with one final passage. It's in Mark chapter 16. And it says this. Following Jesus' return to heaven, the disciples went out and preached everywhere. And then this is an incredible line. And the Lord worked with them. Literally, and the Lord was in synergy with them. We need one another. We need to stand together in the commonality of our vision. Church that stops the traffic. We need to capture who we are in the gateways of society to see the transformation occur right the way through. From business to spirituality, every single gateway transformed because people stand together. These gatherings that are going to go on for the next 6 Sunday nights as we gather our gateway, what we're saying is, hey, I'm passionate about politics, so am I. Let's stand together. I'm passionate about education. Me too. How can I stand with you? I'm passionate about building a business. Me too. A business that glorifies God, that brings kingdom values right to the heart of the business of this city. Me too. How can I help you? When we start to pull together like that, we will shift this church into a gear we haven't even imagined yet. But it begins with this. They were together and they had everything in common. A commitment to one another, to stand by the vision of the church, to stand behind incredible senior pastors, to say we're in this